Hi, this is Nick Dawson from Talkhouse, and you're listening to the latest episode of Nobody's Ever Asked Me That. It's the spin-off series of the Talkhouse podcast where I talk to filmmakers, musicians, comedians, and writers and ask them questions they've never heard before in an interview in an effort to discover a different side of them and understand them better. Okay, before we get to this week's guest, some housekeeping. Over the past year or so, this podcast has been a little ad hoc, I guess. But that's all changing now, as this is episode 1 of the show's official first season. Over the next 12 weeks, we have some amazing episodes coming as I talk with an array of artists whose work is really important to me and go places other interviews simply don't go. Today, my guest is Tatiana Maslany, arguably one of the most gifted actors of her generation, but also maybe one of the most underrated. She's best known for her virtuosic performance playing Sarah Manning and her many very different clones in the TV show Orphan Black. The hugely acclaimed sci-fi thriller series ran 5 seasons in the mid-2010s and won Maslany a bunch of awards, including an Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series. As a performer, Maslany takes on leading roles with a chameleonic character actor energy, always choosing emotional truth over being showy. Acting since the age of 9, she has an insanely long and varied resume, with numerous credits across TV, film, and theatre, not to mention video games and audiobooks. She's seemingly always working and was recently seen in HBO's Perry Mason reboot, the Marvel TV series She-Hulk Attorney at Law, in which she played the title role, and the Osgood Perkins horror films Keeper and The Monkey. The reason for our conversation today was her latest project, the new Apple TV Plus show Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed, a smart, deftly plotted comedy thriller series which tells the story of Maslany's Paula, a single mom in a custody battle over her daughter, whose online dealings with a camboy lead her into untold and ever-worsening trouble. Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed is poppy and fun, but the reason it works so well is Maslany's central performance, as she brings such humanity to Paula, who we root for because of her flaws, not despite them. It turns a show that would otherwise feel light into something much more substantial. Maslany is always a very generous and engaged interviewee, and so this conversation went to some really interesting places, as we touched on how she fell in love with her husband over FaceTime, her very unconventional way of turning up for auditions, why she falls asleep thinking about coffee, the hardest time she's ever had on a movie set, her love of taking COVID tests, and much, much more. So, let's get started. It's funny, I often start with the same question. Sometimes I don't. I think the last time I didn't, I was talking to Michel Gondry, and I'd done something with him years ago, and he talked about anxiety, and right before we recorded, there'd been that Trump-Zelensky Oval Office meeting where he'd
oh my God,
chewed him out. And I was just feeling I was feeling so anxious because of it that I felt compelled to ask him about anxiety. We're not going to do that, but just to let you know.
I mean, hey, I have a lot to say about anxiety. Just what you brought up just now, I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, we might organically get there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the thing that I often start with, just because I feel like it sets the tone well, is I'm always really intrigued by people's dreams. Like, do you remember your dreams? Is there a dream, either recent or historical, that you have retained and that you might be able to share with us?
Yeah, are we going already?
We're going. This is it.
We're going. Okay, sweet. Yes, dream. I mean, I used to have dreams about zombies. There was like a 10-year period there where I was really dreaming about zombies a lot. I got really into Shaun of the Dead, and I don't know if it was like just like a direct sort of like what you see and I don't know, processing it or whatever. But lots of dreams about zombies, and people in them were friends of mine or people I knew, and I had to kill them.
Wow.
Yeah. So not sure what that says, what that means. I've never done any decoding of those dreams, but
that's intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm always intrigued about zombies because I guess it's just partly because they're so slow moving. I feel like it says something about us as people that there's this menace that is so terrifying, but is also kind of easy to escape.
I feel like you're talking about so much right now. The first thing I thought of was AI when you said that. Is like this thing that we can actually outrun. We actually don't need it. But we're all like, well, I guess I'll just walk straight forward into this mass of things that's going to eat my brains.
Yeah. And in that same vein, I feel like another analogy for the AI situation, which is maybe less true of zombies, is that thing where like social pressures push us into situations that like are primal brain knows are terrible, but we're just kind of like,
Mm,
well, it'd be kind of awkward if I didn't do that.
you mean like following the mass kind of
Right,
thing?
right.
Like,
Because I think that's sort of the thing I think about with the AI situations. It's like, I don't really want to rock the boat. Yeah, sure, it's really bad, but like everybody seems to be going with
yes,
it. And
yes.
like, I don't want to be a party pooper. And people seem so excited about it. Like, let's not.
Oh my God, totally. I feel like I'm such a party pooper. I feel like that's become my new identity as like, well, like a real Well, actually, in like every conversation, I'm so annoying.
But that means you have like a internal, fortitude, and intestinal fortitude, a backbone, all this kind. Because it's like
Mm,
it's tough. Has that always been that thing where you kind of call people on things, even though maybe
no.
no?
Oh my God, no. No, no, no. I'm such a non-confrontational person. I would rather take care of everybody
Hmm.
than rock the boat in every way. But then like you start to just be like, what am I who am I feel sick when I do that. I don't feel good when I do that.
Hmm.
And I don't know what I'm trying to uphold or take care of at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still like a learning. I feel like I'm in the nascent stages of being,
Hmm.
have a spine.
And do you second guess yourself afterwards?
Oh yeah, like I just did an interview and I closed the thing and I was like, I'm such a fucking idiot. Like, oh God, why did always,
Hmm.
always. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's tough. But when you take a little bit more time, are you like, I stand by what I said? Like, yes, yes, it's uncomfortable now, but like, that was the right thing, or?
Yeah, yeah, it's a learning process. And I think like for me, a lot of it is in finding like community with other people where you're like,
Hmm.
okay, if I can have like a collaborator, whether they're there or not, somebody who I know gets me, somebody who I know feels the same way, somebody who also stands for this or also would call this out, it's easier. Or also if it's happening to somebody that's not me and I can see it clearly, very very much easier for me to call it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had like a week, no commitments, you could go anywhere, do anything, what would you do?
For a week.
A week.
uh
And you can bring people, but it can also just be you.
oh my God, I have such a limited range of dream. I'm just like, I'd go to I'd go to a place I'd already been. I mean, I'd love to go somewhere where it was green, like foresty green water. It'd be very fun if it was my husband and my dogs and we
Hmm.
could just like some like gorgeous cabin somewhere and just like hike and walk and the weather's perfect. And maybe it rains like 2 days, so there's no pressure a couple days so you can sit and read for a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Are you able to switch off all the other stuff when you have that kind of time away?
I'm getting better at it. I used to have this thing like the first like 3, 4 days of being away from work or on vacation, I would just be like kind of lost. I'm a very restless person, so it takes a
Hmm.
lot to kind of sit me in one place. And uh, I want to see everything that is where I am. I want to
Yeah.
eat everything and drink and sort of, yeah, like really be inside of the world that I'm surrounded by. So it's a little tough sometimes to like shut that energy off a little bit.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Is that energy about being present and absorbing everything because you're excited, or is it more of like a fear of missing out, or is it like what is the energy behind that?
Yeah, I think it's probably a fear of missing out. It's a fear of like not having like lived the day fully. And like what we were talking about, anxiety. I think a lot of it is just like kind of the buzz of anxiety that I attribute then to, oh, if I go do something. As I found COVID so for so many reasons, just like rocked my sense of everything. It was such a huge, I mean, for all of us, but for me, the sitting in one spot without the outlet of, ooh, I'm uncomfortable, so I'm going to go somewhere.
Hmm.
I'm uncomfortable sitting here. I'm uncomfortable in my own presence, so I'm gonna, or like in my own company, so I'm gonna go to a coffee shop and just be among people.
Hmm.
That like that impulse is very strong in me to like, ah, I don't know. I don't want to be here right now, so I'm gonna get on my rollerblades and I'm gonna go for an hour in that direction or whatever. And Yeah.
Did you have any breakthroughs because of that inability to go other places?
Yeah, I mean, I think about COVID a lot. I'm still kind of like one of the people who masks inside, especially in very
Hmm.
public places. And on set, I used to mask still, still do most of the time. But yeah, it changed so much for me. But I think the question of like, will I ever be able to, I don't know that it like what it changed. I think I'm still like processing it, and I think all of us are. I think
Hmm.
it's like a thing that we're going to be processing for our our entire lives, you know. But like I think the sense of connectedness, of what connection means in so many ways, and of the ways that we can care and connect, or the ways that we can not connect and care for each other, or whatever
Hmm.
it is, those two lines are really interesting to me.
Did some of your relationships change in COVID because of the fact that you were having like conversations but not being physically present with people? Or did you talk to people more? Were there relationships that sort of went in interesting directions because of this time that was there?
Yeah, I got married. Like my husband and I sort of connected during COVID over FaceTime and courted for months over FaceTime. And
Wow.
because I was in Toronto and he was in Los Angeles. And then when I was finally able to travel again, we connected, in person. And even then we were taking, 2 weeks before we held each other because the quarantine,
Right.
because you wanted to be safe.
For
And
sure.
uh yeah, and then like 0 to 100 we're married. Like
Hmm.
it was very interesting to connect like that. And we'd sort of, we knew each other before, so it wasn't like get it like
Hmm.
first time, but yeah, it was interesting.
Do you feel like the things that you talked about and the way that you talked about them were different because of that need to be separate, like to be physically separate?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you sort of have to find other ways to feel close. And and it was such an intense emotional time. And like the fact that he was so solidly there for me at this time when I was like really going through what I feel like was one of the worst experiences of my life, you know. Um it's so incredible to like find somebody. I think what I was looking for so often in those moments was like, where do I feel safe?
Hmm.
And it was like so clear where I did feel safe,
Hmm.
and with whom.
Yeah. After the vaccine rollout, my response to kind of being indoors and anxious for like 18 months was basically to sort of try and be in nature around as few people as possible. And I've sort of, that's still a practice for me to try and just get outside and go connect with the natural world rather than, I mean, I love being around people. I love talking to people, but like being around people didn't feel safe, obviously, for
Mm-hmm.
just because it wasn't, for that time. I was forced to confront that anxiety and sort of feeling cooped up. And it sort of definitely forced me to address a lot of stuff that I maybe hadn't beforehand.
I think it could have been such a like world changing. It was world changing, and I don't think we took all the lessons from it that we were learning and actually changed things. Like the way that we go to work, or the noise of the world, or the pollution, or any of it. Like remember when there was like no planes flying?
Hmm. Yeah.
And it was like the air quality in Los Angeles was like better than anywhere, which has never happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like we can stop those things that are destroying the planet. We just have to choose to do it,
Right.
and choose to prioritize like human life over like capitalist,
Right.
consumption. And I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about
No. Yeah. Collectively.
the
Yeah.
big. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like capitalism is the great driver of everything. And the idea that we would slow that, or the companies would find it acceptable to have lower profit margins so that we don't destroy the planet. Like people are just not fundamentally not getting on board with that because
Totally.
it's just a short term thing of like I don't want to lose my job as CEO. I don't whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, and like where do our resources go to? Like when we're saying frontline workers are the heroes, and yet we're throwing them into these situations with like so little pay, so little time, so little support. Like could that not have been a time when we go, maybe we're not paying teachers enough.
Right.
Maybe we're not paying nurses enough. Maybe we're not paying these people who actually, when society like falls apart, are the people that hold it up. It's like what's happening right now. It's like, what have we gone completely in the opposite direction?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like when you talk about not taking the lessons, what I observed was people just absolutely desperate to act like it never happened in the first place. And
Yes.
just to like snap your fingers and go back to what it was without any of letting the impact kind of settle in. Because I was talking to somebody I remember like with like the first month of lockdown, and the guy was like, "Are we ever gonna shake hands ever again?" And at the time, that seemed like a pretty realistic question to ask. And
Hmm.
then it's like it's everybody just back to normal.
Totally.
And not I'm saying that we shouldn't do that, but that as a way of just looking at everything that we saw as potentially problematic that then just we reverted back to.
100%. And like masking as a signifier of like, I'm taking care of you has now become a signifier of like, oh, are you sick? Oh, why are you still wearing that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, but wait, 5 years ago, or not even 3 years ago, we were doing this to protect each other. Do you not remember that?
Yeah.
When that was like a sign of solidarity and of love and community. And, now it's sort of an antagonistic.
Right.
Yeah, it's
100%.
very
Yeah.
fascinating.
People are acting like you're being judgmental or weird or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm always interested in people's routines. Like, do you have a morning routine? I try and start my day in a very intentional way. I'm interested to know what it is for you.
I wish. I wish it was. My intention is to get coffee. Like, I'm thinking about coffee when I get into bed the night before. I'm like, I can't wait. It depends. If I'm working, it's different. If I'm at home, it's like I'm trying to not roll over and turn on my phone and be, make out with my Instagram for for an hour and a half. But sometimes I don't know, that's what happens. I am a big tidier. I'm a big
Mm.
putzer. I think that's a lot of my morning routine is like clean the thing so the thing is there, and then I can decide what I'm gonna do. But when I'm home, I like my husband wakes up way earlier than me, but like I try to be awake early enough to feed the dogs or
Mm-hmm.
take them for a walk, trying to get back into reading. Uh, I wish I had a morning routine. I wish I used to meditate, and then I got bored and have not done it since. Like yeah, I don't know.
How long would you meditate for?
I did like a 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes,
Oh,
midday.
okay, interesting. Like TM or
Yeah, yeah, but like I stopped, and now I'm a
yeah,
bad person now.
yeah, that's terrible. No, I do
Yeah.
like 15. I do 15 minutes first thing because I know that I'm gonna come up with an excuse if I don't do it.
Yeah.
But I know that if I do 15 minutes in the morning, that's my equivalent of coffee.
Do you not drink coffee?
I
Even the fact that you've hesitated, you're telling me everything I need to know.
recently I've been like there's like I've been having little bits of caffeinated chocolate when I've been like desperate to stay awake and I'm like a
Wow.
little underslept, but I do not drink coffee anymore.
When you say caffeinated chocolate, do you just mean chocolate?
No, but it's no brand names, but there's
Oh yeah.
a supermarket that sells little bars of chocolate that have some caffeine in them
Okay. Okay.
to give me a little pep in my step.
Hmm.
I find it generally when you fall asleep in meetings with people, it just doesn't go down well.
Something about it doesn't get your point across.
It's like socially frowned upon,
Yeah.
and so I try and toe the line. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Be conscious.
other things that you do apart to sort of because I love the thing about cleaning. It's funny, before we spoke, I was like, I have 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna do some dishes, and it just kind of resets things for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like soothing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. I love it.
Going back to COVID, I was talking to my wife about. She was like, somebody gave me a jigsaw a couple of days ago, and she was like, "Remember when we did
Mm.
jigsaws?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like during COVID, I feel like people wanted a tangible thing of like, there's chaos in the world. I'm going to like take this little box of chaos and I'm going to create order out of it because that's
Yes.
soothing.
Yes.
And I personally do not need that anymore on a 1,000-piece scale, maybe like a
Mm-hmm.
quick 200 or whatever. But yeah, doing the dishes when it's actually achieving something, tidying up. If I have just like a little pocket of time and I'm not,
Yeah.
say, scrolling Instagram, then that's a good thing to do.
I love it.
Do you have other things that sort of like move you towards a sort of sane, balanced, happy brain?
Yeah, like being physical in some way, whether that's like and cleaning, I think becomes a sub in for like working out or something.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm like moving, cleaning, tidying, blah blah blah. But rollerblading's big for me right now.
Mm.
I was rock climbing for a long time, but then have messed up my wrist, so I'm taking a little break from that. But like dancing or being physical, like going for a
Mm-hmm.
walk or something, that's a big one for me. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I haven't rollerbladed in a long time, but I love to hear that people are, I don't know, are there rollerblading communities that are active in LA?
Well, I'm in Atlanta right now.
Oh,
So
you're in
I'm
Atlanta.
right
Okay, okay.
by the belt line, that amazing belt line that is.
Okay.
And so you just get on that and there are rollerbladers, there's roller skaters. When you pass, they give you a little wave because you're part of
Hey.
the crew. It's very cool. But yeah, that's gotten me back into it because in LA, I was rollerblading there for a bit, but I was living in Echo Park and it's all hills.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll still do it. And all the sidewalks are like, like little pyramids where the trees have tried to push
Yes.
their roots through. So it's super treacherous. People also don't like you when you rollerblade. Like they're like annoyed because the city is for cars, not for humans. So yeah, so rollerblading's hard to do there. I've done it though.
Yeah. I was staying in Echo Park with a friend just a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I
Mhm.
can see how that's not the best rollerblading.
But I didn't have a car for the longest time in LA when I moved there.
Mm-hmm.
I would bike everywhere or rollerblade. And it was this kind of there was sort of it was stubborn. Like I was like, I don't want to be in a city where I can't do these things, so I'm going to pretend that this city can accommodate it, which it can't.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I doggedly would do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't drive, and I used to live in LA like briefly, like 20 odd years ago, and turns out it's not a great city to not be able to drive in pre Uber and pre Lyft.
Mm-mm.
It was
Oh my
interesting.
God. It's tough.
So would you like walk or rollerblade to like auditions and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Or bike to auditions or bike to meetings. There's something also about those things that, like biking to a meeting where you're supposed to look like a professional businessman, but you show up with a helmet is a little bit of a fuck you.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a like, I'm still gonna be me. Do you know what I mean? It was my way of sort of like holding on to myself in this town that feels like it just wants you to be a bit homogenized and a little bit
Hmm.
sort of prizes obedience and acquiescence to aesthetic norms or whatever. And so
Yeah.
for me, I like kind of like to be there's a little bit of a like challenge in that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fully. Does that mean that in that action there was something of like, if you're gonna hire me or if you're gonna work with me on this thing, like this is who I am. You should know it right now.
Yes.
If you don't want to do it, like we're not a fit.
Yes. 100%. 100%. Because I think for a long time I was trying to do the like blazer, straighten my hair, wear makeup thing. And I was like, I don't have access to like myself as an artist in this at all.
Hmm.
So it's like if I'm gonna go into those situations, I have to like at least be going into them with a sense of my creative self or my,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
the sort of thing that's not packaged. That's like, yeah, if you don't want this, great, fine. You know, then it's not right.
Have you always had that thing of feeling confident that you could be the one to set those terms in a way? Like when you go into an audition, is it like, well, this is my take on it. If you don't like it, that's fine.
A mix for sure, because I grew up acting. I was like 9 when I started acting. So
Hmm.
there's part of it is I'm a good student and I'll do what you want, and
Yeah.
look at how good I can do it, and yes, sir, no, sir, you know, that kind of thing. But then there's also the other side of me that's like exactly like they're neck and neck, these two parts. And that part is like a little feral creature that wants to almost embarrass you. That's like that can't be tamed, you know?
Hmm.
And so it's a very, I don't know who's operating all the time, and sometimes the two of them, you know, battle it out a little bit. But the dream for me is to always lean a little, like to be kind. I always am kind, and I always want to be kind, and I always want to be open, and I want to have access to that other thing that's like the freedom of performance or the freedom of a character.
You know, you were talking about starting acting at 9, which is obviously pretty early, and you've acted professionally for so long. On the surface, looking at sort of like the arc of your career, you've had such success. Like Orphan Black was so defining and so such an amazing, in a way, was like one of the defining roles of that era of television.
Mm.
And then you've just followed that with, I mean, I'm in a state of mild mourning at the moment because I do not have access to the last 3 episodes of Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed, and I'm sort of like
Oh,
in
right.
this limbo state where I'm jonesing a little bit. But that's all the surface stuff, because
Mm.
I know that as an actor, for every outward success, there's like all these things that haven't happened, all these auditions that didn't go the way you wanted. So for you, like creatively, what does hunger look like for you at the moment?
Mm. It's like I feel very satiated right now. I feel like very, like currently I'm overwhelmed with the joyful collaborations I get to be
Hmm.
part of. But like in the past, like even with the Orphan Black success, there are expectations that you do something or you reach a certain level, and then that means like you're set. But like I've had so many things fall through. Like
Hmm.
even after I did She-Hulk, I did a, you know, you do those Marvel things and there's like a, oh, well, now you're set, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
But I did an AMC show like a year after, and we shot 8 out of 10 episodes, and then they just scrapped it for parts, basically, scrapped it for a tax rebate. So it's like you can, there's always that thing. The industry doesn't, you know, there's like 10 people who can get out scot-free, but everybody is,
Right.
you know, schlepping. Everybody's working, and so yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Do you look beyond acting to like other things that you want to do creatively?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to write at some point or direct people. Like, I love actors. I love seeing that the idea of like dropping like an idea into an actor's mind and seeing what they do with it. So I would love to do that. I love camera people. I love like that whole side of things. You know, but then I watch something like Zone of Interest and I read about Zone of Interest and I go, "Oh my God, I
Hmm.
could never." How do you do that? Like, how do you work thematically and visually and structurally on a piece and have it be that deep and that also spontaneous and that well thought out, like all of it. I'm just like, I couldn't even, you know what I mean? And then like dance is a big one for me, just like
Hmm.
how can I bring dance more into my work or into my life or whatever way that is. And that's not like a logic, it's not like a I
Right.
want to make something out of this. It's more like just that space.
Going back to starting acting really so young, at what age did you feel like a confident adult? Because I'm always struck by the fact that there's times when I'm like, I'm returned to like my mid teens and just feeling like this totally overmatched, overwhelmed person who
Hmm.
absolutely doesn't feel like an adult.
Yeah.
So like for you, like what age do you feel like inside maybe is another version of that question?
Well, I like the other day, somebody, I was on set of a show, of a movie I was doing, and someone came up to me and they're like, wow, you look like 22 as this character. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
well, and then I realized that's half my age. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh my God. For me, I feel like I'm 28 and I'll
Mhm.
always be 28. Like the idea that I'm 40 makes no sense to me.
Mhm.
I don't feel like an adult. I just don't at all, at all. And I'm sure that's why I chose acting because it's like perpetual play,
Mhm.
perpetual make believe. Like I get to stay in that place. The idea of being like a woman is very strange to me.
But 28 sounds like a great age to be.
It's like before, yeah, it's like still in the springtime. It's still like
Right. Right.
yeah.
But if that's like what it feels like for you, that's amazing.
Yeah, but then I like, I watch Maximum Pleasure. I'm like, oh, yeah, my face has changed. There's stuff happening on that face. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I think like usually a part like Maximum Pleasure would come by and I'd be very afraid to not look like a mom or not
Hmm.
look like a woman who
Yeah.
could lead a series and we'd believe that she had like a life in an apartment. But I think that's the one thing is I do feel a little settled in like I don't have to try so hard to like look like an adult woman. I can just trust that. I like feel, I think I do feel it in my bones a little more than I used to. In Orphan Black, I was like, God, nobody's gonna buy me as a parent
Hmm.
because I like still look like a 16-year-old. You know what I mean? So there was always, I think it's also starting when I was young and being very small and looking young, like, I was 23 and I played 13 once. So like that's
Wow.
always been in my head as like I can't play my age, but I feel like that's at least settled in a little bit.
So did you have to, in life as well as an actor, sort of try and project older than people thought you were? Because for me, like if I were 23 and playing that would fuck my head up pretty badly,
Totally.
to be honest.
For sure. No, absolutely. Like I think, yeah, there was always a sense of and I got it from the outside too, which was like, can we just I think we need to straighten the hair. We need to just something I don't know. Yeah, she looks a little, there was always like,
Hmm.
I always felt like I was like not right, you know? Yeah, and that I had to like be smarter or be more well spoken or be more serious or whatever it was to like be taken as an adult.
That makes perfect sense. I think holding on to the youthful part is always helpful, but it's about whether we can sort of, I don't know, do you feel like you code switch from like the way you feel like inside to the age that people are around you or the age that you feel like people should have you be? Obviously, I'm guessing as an actor, you have that code switching mode made anyway, but I also thinking about when you were growing up being trilingual and whether code switching was baked into that as well.
Yeah, and I think that is the thing that you're rewarded for too as an actor, is like an ability to be malleable and to be
Hmm.
water, like to fit into different molds. And I think sometimes that can get confused with, oh, what does this person socially need from me right now?
Hmm.
Like, who do I have to be to get away with this conversation or to survive this
Yeah.
interaction or
Yeah.
to impress or to make them feel okay or whatever it is. It's like always trying to read somebody else. And ugh, there's this great quote, and it's gonna make me cry to like say it, but in Women Under the Influence, Jenna Rollins is sitting across the table from her husband, and he's just screamed at her because she was like bizarre at the table in front of all of his friends. And she says, tell me tell me what you want, Nick. Tell me what to be. I can be that. I can be anything. And she sort of like does this thing and it's like heartbreaking because then she also looks at him like imploring like what is it? Cuz I'll do that. And that to me is like that's womanhood, that's an actor thing. It's that like give me the shape that and I'll take it, you know?
Hmm. When you're on set, do you like line reads being given to you, or do you want to go find everything yourself?
It depends. If I trust the person, you can tell me whatever you want. And I'm like happy to like take that music and put it through my filter or whatever. And if it's like a comedic thing and we need to hit it a certain way, and I'm
Right,
like,
right.
totally, I have reverence for for the music stuff that I don't totally
Hmm.
always know. But sometimes it's control, and then I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah,
Then I'm like, what? No. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Then I'll fight it.
yeah.
But yeah, if it's given in the right way, it can be fine.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Mm.
As soon as I asked that, I was like, the way that I feel in my job is like you hired me for a reason. Like, let me do my job.
Hmm. Yes, yeah. Well, but yeah, and then there's like, oh, and I wonder how you feel in this is like, when do you know what you know, and when should you adapt and take the direction?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
when are your spine is like so rigid that you like can't bend to the left or the right, or when is it protecting you and your instinct is correct, you know?
Right. Well, I think for me, like what's necessary in that situation is I have to fully trust the other person. Because if I think that the person who is giving me input doesn't know what they're talking about, then
Hmm.
that's really tough for me to either take on board that advice or be diplomatic about that no or whatever it is.
Hmm.
That's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's like the constant question as an artist. It's like the gut versus being adaptive, the instinct versus like,
Yeah. You can take this whichever way you want, but what's the scariest thing that you've ever done?
I think like the thing that in, well, wasn't by choice, but working with like an actor that was a bully
Hmm.
and having to go in and be like we're talking about, have to stay open, have to, the job is to stay open, the job is to be present. And when somebody's like a bully and bullying the crew and bullying you and doing it in front of people, and you're still having to like be there, yeah, that wasn't great. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that this was going to be a short term thing, or was this a thing that was like going to be weeks or months or like,
It was months.
yeah.
Yeah, it was months, and the shittiest thing was that I was also working with an acting coach at that time who was like not safe.
Oh, God.
And she was sort of encouraging me to look at what I was doing to receive, like how I was prompting the bullying. I know. Very tricky.
Were you buying that from her, or was that?
Yep.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was so kind of leveled by this actor. And then she swoops in and sort of tells me what I'm afraid to hear, what I'm afraid I'm doing, which
Hmm.
is encouraging it or asking for it, performing a certain way that sort of demands to be bullied. Um, yeah. Not
Wow.
great. Not great.
At what point did you have that realization that this was just a fucked up situation that you were powerless in?
Um, Probably a year or two afterwards, or
Wow.
like as I like, even like now, I'm still like meeting people who worked on that with me, and they're like, "Hey, I was there too.
Hmm.
And it's like in those moments, I can kind of like repair the thought of the sort of story around it.
Hmm.
But I also had like good friends on that shoot who were like, "Hey, I'm with you, and this isn't right." But sometimes you can't embody that until you've stepped away from it and you're not kind of in survival mode.
Yeah. How do you feel about looking back on that and realizing the way in which you were not protected, given that this sounds like this was a very public thing?
Yeah, it's it's awful that that kind of power can be wielded that way and that the sort of structure upholds it,
Hmm.
you know? It's just wild that somebody could treat people like that and be okay with it. And the thing I look back on is just like nothing about what we're doing should feel that way, should be that way. And I think it was like lessons I was learning about like things have to feel hard and be difficult and like like we have to that you can't create from like a place of joy and of vulnerability and of openness and support. Like of course that's the place a water plant will grow. You know what I mean? Like it's like something that's being stepped on will not. So it's like, how is art different from that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like some of the male paradigms of like what creativity should look like are, the hard drinking writer, the hard drinking actor, the person who creates chaos on set because then things are quote unquote real, but it's really
Hmm.
actually men acting the way that they want to act because it's easier for them and
Hmm.
everybody else has to deal with it.
Yeah, totally. That's such a great way to put it that it's easier for them. It's so easy to do that. It's so easy. It costs them nothing. It's like there's no surrender in it. It's all control and it's all yeah, I have so much trouble with that because I'm just like I've just seen it done in different ways where we don't have to do that and like the product's great what if that's what you care about, or the creative output is great and there's so many artists that I love that I think operate from a place of struggle. Like, fine, it's just it doesn't have to squish everybody else. You know what I mean? We all have like insecurities, and if we're grown adults, we can work with those privately or see where they're useful to us, and then look at the person across from us and be like, oh my God, I get to connect with this beautiful human that I don't know what they're going to do and I don't know what they're going to say or how they're going to say it. And like, how exciting to step out on that tightrope together, you know?
I think I just saw the answer to my question. But do you have any tattoos? And if you do, can you tell me the story behind?
I do.
Because I was
I have.
thought I was seeing something on your arm.
Yeah, so this is that's so funny because these were covered for the movie I was doing, but I was like, I need to wash these off. So this is my little strong baby that my husband doodled once over Zoom, and I was like,
Wow.
that's on my body for the rest of my life. I've got my dog, Earl, is right here. My husband has a matching one. I have one on my ankle for my Oma, which is like a little ladybug. And then I just got this very stupid one right here that's like a little heart that's walking along the street. They're all like kind of child adjacent drawing style, like sort of naive art is kind of my thing. Yeah.
So your Oma, was she your German grandmother then, or?
Yeah. 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 I was just thinking about her yesterday because I'm reading this book and there was like a grandma that came up in it. And she was like tiny like me, and she had such a great sense of humor. She was always like a one-liner person, and like,
Hmm.
yeah, came over from Romania to Saskatchewan to be with my Opa, and yeah, she was amazing.
My family are, well, on my mother's side are Austrian, so
Oh yeah,
I had an Oma as well.
you did.
I
Oh my
did,
God, what's
yeah.
her name?
She was called Liesel.
Yeah, a classic Austrian name.
Yes. I think I probably have time for like one or two more questions.
Sure.
But how do you cope with uncertainty?
Oof, it depends. Usually not great. Again, I'll think of life versus acting because uncertainty in life kind of terrifying, and uncertainty in acting feels to me like possibility and like, you know, stepping into a scene or a role or something that I don't totally get is always going to be more fun for me.
Hmm.
But life, I'm a bit of a control freak, hypochondriac, all those things.
I'm trying to work out with my own hypochondria, like how healthy it is, because I unfortunately I feel like I'm becoming a hypochondriac who just doesn't go to the doctor that often. So it's like
Because you don't want to know.
right. Well, no, but partly because like it's like I'm probably slightly more afraid of going to the doctor than I am of actually having the thing because it's probably not that
Mm,
bad.
mm-hmm.
But it's more just like I'm just waiting to be like, see, I told you, I told you. Like when
Uh-huh.
something actually happens, I'll be like, well, see, all this time.
All of it was there was a reason behind all of it. Yeah.
Admittedly, all the other things that I said were wrong with me weren't, but this time I'm
Hmm.
right, and
Right.
yeah,
I told you so kind of thing.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're not paranoid if they actually are after you. So,
Right. Yeah.
are you a doctor visiting hypochondriac, or is it more just
No.
like a WebMD kind of hypochondriac?
It's a hey, Brendan, here's what I'm feeling, thinking. What's wrong with me? My husband. And he'll be like,
Yeah,
you're fine. And I'm like, yeah, but this, you're fine. Yeah, but if it's with also this, you're fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
My thing is always like, I think I have a fever, and my wife is like, "You're actually cold." I'm like, "Okay, fine."
Totally.
She's like, "You're cold and
Totally.
clammy." I'm like, "Fine, okay."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I love doing a random COVID test. I have so many COVID tests that I'm just like, I think I might be COVID. It's always allergies, but I'm like, it's COVID again. It's COVID this time.
When was the last time you actually had COVID? And did you feel
May.
vindicated when you?
I I did because guess what? I was the only one who was masking backstage, and I asked everybody to
Hell
take
yeah.
care of us, and they did not, and I was the only one who got it. So I was like, yeah, I was kind of vindicated. It was when I was doing a play on Broadway. It was May 2023.
Hey, that's a good run.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a very good run.
yeah, not bad, not bad. When I get COVID, I love to test positive for 2 weeks. I love to really, really go for it. It sucks.
Do you suffer a lot when you have it, or are you just kind of like low level symptoms, or no, you go through it?
I'm not great. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I've never been hospitalized, thank God. I can't even imagine, but yeah.
Yeah, the first time I had it, I was hospitalized. I sort of like
Oh my God.
when it was probably 20, like late 2020.
Oh
And it
God.
was like late at night, and I went to the ER, and there was like, people who were like handcuffed to their gurneys because they'd been arrested and then taken to hospital. It was a bit of a scene,
Yeah.
but they were like, "Yeah, you have COVID," and then they just like discharged me at like 4 a.m. I went home, and it was fine. I went there because I couldn't really breathe, and so that was
Oh,
obviously.
I'm sorry. That's awful.
But I was basically okay after that.
Yeah.
But it honestly sounds more dramatic than it was. But it still was still wasn't great.
No, I've gone to the hospital for pneumonia when I couldn't breathe, and it's scary. It's a
It's
scary
scary.
feeling. Hmm.
Yeah, I just remember going like, it would be like reckless for me to get an ambulance. But yes, I can't breathe. But if I walk very slowly, I can go to the
You
hospital.
walked?
Well, it's like 10 blocks. It's like not that far.
My God.
This is
I very
this.
much relate to
I was
this.
born and raised in Scotland. We are frugal people. We're like,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not gonna take
relate
an
to
Uber.
this.
I'm not gonna get
Hmm.
an ambulance. If I
Hmm.
just gently walk there, and it was like, peak COVID, and so like there was nobody on the streets.
Yeah.
It was fine. It wasn't unsafe to do. It was just like it was a quirky thing to do.
You just couldn't do the one thing that you kind of needed to
Yeah,
survive the 10-block walk. But that's fine. You held your
yeah,
breath for 10 blocks.
that was fine.
I so relate
No,
to
I just breathe slowly. Yeah.
this. Yeah. Wow.
It's been so lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking the
You
time.
too.
I'm really looking forward to watching by the time this airs, I will have
Hmm.
watched the conclusion of at least the arc of this season.
Sure.
But it is such a pleasure to watch you on screen always. And thank you so much for just being so generous with your time and your sharing everything, really.
Oh, it was so great. Thank you. I'm so happy to talk to you.
Thanks so much to Tatiana Maslany for talking with me, and thanks to you for listening. Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed is now on Apple TV+. Go stream it. This episode was produced by Myron Kaplan, and the theme music is by The Range. Nobody's Ever Asked Me That and now has a Substack. So head to nobody'sever-asked-me-that.substack.com to check out all of our past episodes, plus subscribe to get access to exclusive audio and video content. Next week on Nobody's Ever Asked Me That, my guest is filmmaker Zia Anger.
It's not even nostalgia. It's just like, oh, that was awesome being that young. And like, yeah, I wish I had done something differently and not like date all those shitty people and like maybe been a little bit more like savvy when it came to like filmmaking and stuff like that. But also like, what a wonderful time to actually be nobody. What a wonderful time to be nobody and kind of like not do anything right.
Yeah, because you have the freedom to not do things right, I guess.
Totally. And I don't really think that like good art and good life is made by doing nothing or only making art.
I look forward to you joining me again next time.